we'll start the show. What we usually do is I'll start up the show. I might disappear on you for about 90 seconds, and then we'll get going and talking and having fun. Does that sound good?
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Like I said, I might disappear for about 90 seconds. I'll be right back with y'all. Here we go. Recording now. Welcome, y'all. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 237. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace. I'm in the PTM Podcast Studio in quarantine, week number 3. And we've got a great show for you tonight. We've got a great guest. We've only got a little bit of time, so we'll get back to the sponsored part here in a bit. But I want to get going and get this thing moving. And I'm going to go ahead and bring on my very special co-host, Andrew Sherwin, pregame engineer. What's up, dude?
Skew! What's up?
We're ready to get rolling because tonight's guest, y'all, retired NASCAR driver, former NASCAR and Fox reporter, and current prolific dirt racer on Twitter at Kenny_Wallace. It's Kenny Wallace. What's up, Kenny?
Man, I'm doing really good. Even during this coronavirus, I'm learning this new life, social distancing, staying at home. And I hope everybody else is doing okay. But yeah, I'm doing good.
Man, we really appreciate you coming on, and especially, during these times of stuff, have a little fun, do a little dance and show and whatnot. One thing I'd like to ask you first off, that we ask every new guest that comes on our show, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, I like iced tea. So I drink half sweet, half unsweet, and actually, that's what I like to drink. I drink water, coffee, and then when it's time, I'll have myself a Bud Light or Michelob Ultra Light, but usually a Bud Light. But tonight, just iced tea.
Now, let's start with the quarantine. How is your quarantine going right now, and what keeps you busy during the day besides Twitter?
What keeps me busy is looking forward to the next thing. In other words, I get excited to get up in the morning and drink coffee. It excites me. I mean, I'm going to get up, I'm going to drink coffee, I'm going to turn on the news, check out coronavirus updates. I'm looking for specific things like have any state, are they doing better? Are their deaths going down? Is the people that are going into the hospital, are there less? And then I look at breakfast, and, then I'll think about, am I going to take a shower today, or am I going to go another day or two with no shower? Then we're excited about lunch, and then we'll go outside, and we'll walk up and down the driveway. We'll do some calisthenics, push-ups, sit-ups. Then we go up to the race shop, and we just sniff around. Not much to do up there. I could be ready to go dirt racing in 10 minutes. My car is race ready. Fuel's in it. The only thing I got to do is put a gear in it. I don't know where I'm going to run, so I didn't put a gear in it, but it's ready. Truck and trailer's packed, ready. Then I'll get on Twitter at midday. I really look forward to the president's briefings. They're fun to watch. Engage with people on Twitter, argue, debate about whether the president shut the country down on time or not, show my support to the President of the United States, eat dinner, and then it's time for Netflix around 8 o'clock. Like right now, I'd be turning on, see what I'm going to watch on Netflix. Then go to bed between midnight and 1 o'clock. So that's what I do, pretty much repetitive every day.
Now, I was wondering, you talked about the race shop and going down there and everything. Do you have you been tempted to, or have you turn on the engine and just sit in the car for a little bit just to get some time behind the wheel?
Yes, I have. I thought, I wonder if I should fire it up and drive it around my property. but I thought, no, that's okay. So it's doing good. You know, we went to Volusia for Daytona, you know, the Winter Nationals, and the dirt car nationals, we call it at Volusia. We did good. You know, there was like, 100 cars down there every night. We finished 10th in overall points. I think we ended up with like, all top 10 finishes. I think we had one 11th place finish. You know, the car came back in good shape. It's crazy. The car did not have a dent on it the whole time. And then the very last race, the Gator, we were going down the back straightaway, and I believe it was Tyler Nicely. His motor broke on him, and we all scattered in my right side of my door got caved in, which is just all sheet metal, you know. It did not hurt the car. So I spent about 3 days getting it right, and then I went on about another 2 weeks, and hell, I was just race ready, right? Then spent another week jacking around, you know. But the car has been taken apart, put back together, and detailed. So, yeah, I've had thoughts about firing it up, driving around. You know, Volusia was pretty easy this year. I mean, there was one little hole down getting into one if you ran the cushion. And I tossed it on the high side a couple times. You know, I two-wheeled, almost flipped, but in reality, you know, it didn't hurt me, didn't hurt the car. And so the car is in really good shape. This car's only got about 20 races on it, max. This is a pretty new car. And so, you know, we're looking good. We're looking good. We're just ready to go racing. And, you know, that's where we're at right now. We're just so ready to race. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Kenny, I think everybody is trying to reinvent themselves as some kind of cook in this time when we're supposed to be staying in the house. What are the things you look forward to cooking and that you have cooked while you're kind of cooped up in the house or cooped up on the back deck with the grill?
Well, you know, at my home, first of all, I have 3 beautiful daughters, and, you know, they're all married now. And so at my house, it's me and my beautiful wife, Kim, and her mother-in-law lives with us. It works out great. She's a very nice lady. She has her own little, place in the house. Real sweet, you know, got her own bedroom, her own, bathroom, her own TV. So she makes her coffee, and she's a great cook. My wife is a great cook. But my job is me and my little daughter. We go to the grocery store, and we practice social distancing. We take our sanitary wet wipes, and we go into the grocery store. We wipe the handles down to everything. And then we keep our social distancing. You know, what I do is I look out for people. If I spy somebody that's trying to get close to me, or if I think somebody's dirty on me, like they look dirty, I make sure I go away from them. So just going to the grocery store is like competing at the dirt track, you know? You're trying to stay away from people that don't look right. So I go get all the food, I bring it home, and Kim's mom's been doing a real good job. Grilled chicken, a bed of rice, really good healthy food we eat. We'll order. We do a lot of apps, whether it's Cadovas, Panera Bread, which it's called St. Louis Bread Company. We got a local restaurant. But if I'm at home by myself and I just want something to eat, I pull out the whole wheat bread and I go turkey and cheese, pickle, mustard. I go with mustard because mustard's a little healthier than mayonnaise, so I go mustard. Yeah, a little yogurt maybe some big chips, maybe some, sunflower seeds or a handful of, some type of healthy nuts. We'll drink a lot of water. We'll go through like 3 or 4. We'll drink at least 4, deals of water, So that's pretty much the way the food goes. Kim's mom does a great job. She'll make me a good breakfast. And if she doesn't make breakfast, what I'll do is I love oatmeal. So I'll just get instant oatmeal, throw a couple nuts in there, hot instant oatmeal with my coffee with a little water. And that's pretty much my food regimen. I enjoy it. keeps me busy. And food's a big deal. It's kind of funny because, in a weird way, I feel like people are putting more effort into eating now because we're so bored. Like when I'm busy racing, I get up and eat oatmeal and I go directly to the race shop. And I barely eat lunch. And when you eat in race season, you just don't eat a lot because you're so busy. And it's usually 100 degrees outside, and and you're begging. But now I feel like we think more about food, so I really got to watch myself that I just don't overeat.
Sure. So you mentioned your 3 daughters. What is your affinity, or maybe Kim's affinity, to B, first names for girls that start with B?
Yeah, great question. Brooke, Brandy, and Brittany. So Brooke, in 1984, we moved down to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was a crew member, and then about 2 months into it, I became a crew chief. So in 1984, I was a Winston Cup crew chief. Well, my wife was babysitting, and she was babysitting this girl named Brooke. Beautiful little girl, blonde hair. When we just said, this is such a beautiful little girl, she's so sweet, that if for any reason, when we do have a baby, our daughter, or, it was going to be Blake if it was going to be a boy. Well, we have 3 girls, and so our first girl we named Brooke, and then we just stayed with the B's. And all this, to be very poignant and answer your question specifically, we came up with Brooke because of the girl that my wife babysitted, and she was just a sweetheart. So it was Brooke, and then it was Brandy, and then it was Brittany. So, and like I said, if it was going to be a boy, it would have been Blake. So 3 girls.
There you have it. So you mentioned in your kind of day-to-day watching Netflix, and I know on Twitter you've been a big proponent of this whole Tiger King thing. Now, Sherwin, have you watched it yet?
Every second of it.
Okay. I haven't seen it yet. My wife wants to watch it. Kenny, I know you're a fan. Tell us about it. What's the what's the draw here to this?
Well, I've never been on Netflix in my life. I learned about Netflix last week. And I'm like, well, you hear about it, right? But I'm busy racing. I'm a racer. I'm going to stop thinking about it. All I do is race. Now I'm kind of slowing down, and I'm learning about this iRacing. And, even during my race time, I don't have time to iRace. So now I'm like, okay, what is Netflix? Well, it's another form of TV, and they just got anything you want to watch. You spend $12, $13 a month, and you can watch movies, or you can watch these episodes. Well, Tiger King is just something they were advertising popular. So if you turn on Netflix, it would say Tiger King. Well, it was 6 episodes. You get into this damn Tiger King, and I thought it was just about tigers. I thought it was going to be about tigers and trainers. Turns out this Tiger King is a real story. It's almost a documentary, which it's incredible how they put this together. It is almost like a special. I don't know if you ever watched the Ayrton Senna special.
Oh, yeah.
The great. Okay, it's the same thing. Same exact thing. Tiger King is real footage all the time. And it's about this story. It starts out in Florida where, even if you go down 95 and you're at the Daytona or Miami, you see all these billboards, stop and see tigers. So I'm like, oh, my God, I've seen those things all the time. Well, it turns out that the husband ended up missing. Well, one of the workers there felt like the wife, Carolyn Park, I think her name was, that man, Tiger Glow, whatever his name is, felt like the wife, he feels like the wife set the husband to the lions and just ate him up. Well, this is real. This is true. So he ends up missing. Well, then the whole documentary leaves that for a little bit, and it just goes on about how corrupt that industry is, how they raise these cubs. These little tiger cubs, they sell them for $3,000 and $5,000 each.
Wow.
And then it just goes on, and it's the damnest thing. And he ends up moving out of Tampa and going to Oklahoma, and he ends up going to prison. over something that really has nothing to do with the movie, and it's redneck as hell. I mean, it's so redneck. And,
Yes, it
and
is.
you're like, this is not real, but it's real. It's incredibly real now. And when there's three guys and they're all gay, and they all love each other, they're kissing each other, and so that is even like, holy crap, you know. And then there's a part of the movie where the boyfriend he's doing crystal meth all the time, and he really is doing it, and so he's playing with a gun, and he just kills himself. And now they don't show it, but they don't show it, but they show it. They show this man's real reaction, and it's unbelievable. And like changing gears for a minute, it's like J.J. Yeley, the great race car driver. He tweeted me yesterday, says, "Damn you, Kenny Wallace, we ended up binge watching it." It's so redneck that you cannot turn away. It's unbelievable, is what it is.
Well, it's
unbelievable. It's
yeah.
real. It's real.
It's like that whole that train wreck theory. Like, you don't want to see it, but you can't turn away.
Right.
Like, be like, I got to see what happens next.
But here's the thing: it's not a train wreck because people are actually dying. You know what I mean? Like, the guy accidentally, whether he does,
Well, yeah,
himself.
that's absolutely
a train wreck is something that's funny. We laugh at. I got to watch. This is going to be a damn train wreck. This is just crazy. It's like unbelievable. Yeah, and I think what's crazy about it is they're all doing drugs. You know what I mean? And they're losing their teeth, and it's like, holy shit.
Wow. All right. Well, evidently I'm in now. So,
it's only 7 43-minute episodes. You can fire it off pretty quick.
And I forgot to tell you one thing. One of the main players is a real modified racer. Ends up about 3/4 of the way through the show. They interview him in his shop. He's got a mod in there. He's got a sportsman. He's wearing an Eldora Speedway shirt. And we're like, holy crap. Dude, so it's real. And I tell you what, I might have seen the guy down at East Bay. So yeah, he worked there at the Tiger King Park for like 14 years. I was like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember seeing that car shop and looking at that car and the way it was built, and I go, I'm pretty sure that's the same kind of car that Kenny drives.
Yeah.
Certainly looks like it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like an open wheel supermod or whatever y'all call them. I'm not good with the names of the cars.
Yeah. So what we got in the United States is you got the NASCAR Cup Series, which is NASCAR Cup Series is the highest form of motorsports in the United States. And then under that, you've got what you call the Xfinity Series. Then you got the Truck Series, or actual trucks. Then those are what we call the Big Three. That's NASCAR, the highest form of motorsports in the United States. And then you got other series, which are what we call the World of Outlaws. And so it's just different types of racing. There's motorcycle racing, boat racing, car racing, go-kart racing. It's just so many forms of auto racing. And everybody, there's this old saying, as long as you racing, and that's pretty much what it amounts to.
You got it. Now, Kenny, I know we're about out of time with you. I did want to ask you this one on your way out. This weekend, Matt DiBenedetto racing in his undies, and he said he had fulfilled a lifelong dream of being able to race in his undies. Have you had any temptation to race in the skivvies at all?
No, and I love Matt DiBenedetto. Let me tell you why. Because competition will kill you. It's very intense. Competition is hard. So Matt is a great man. He spreads a lot of love. He's a fierce competitor. He's a hardcore Italian. His real nickname is Guido. Yeah. You don't want to. And here's the deal with Matt DiBenedetto: you don't want to jack with him. He will knock you out. So he's a lover. He spreads fun. He's fun. He's like just fun. So I really laughed at that tweet. Got a big kick out of it because the moral of that story was, Denny Hamlin won the first I race, in his bare feet. So people are racing in their shorts and their bare feet, and he said, I'm going to run them underwear. So, if you pay the close attention to, that's what it really was all about. People are winning these iRaces in their living room, in their bedrooms, and it's just funny.
Everybody else said I'm racing barefoot or I'm racing in shorts. He said, hold my beer. Watch this.
Right, you got it. You're exactly right. Now you get it. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, Kenny, like you said, we know we're running low on time with you. We really appreciate you coming on and hanging out for a bit and keeping everybody entertained on Twitter and everything else while everybody's quarantined along the way. Where are you going to be coming up next, supposedly? What are you looking forward to?
Well, we are going to run a lot of racing this year. We come up with something new, first time ever. It's called the Kenny Wallace Special Tour. Thank you, fans. What this is all about, these are racetracks that have called me up and said, hey, Kenny, will you come to our racetrack? So we got about 15 of those tracks, and when I'm not running those tracks, I will race my local tracks here around the St. Louis, the Midwest, Illinois, Missouri, Illinois region. Now, you can find that schedule on all my social networks. So the first one coming up, we're hoping will be May 29th at Dakota Speedway, out there in Dakota. So if that doesn't happen, just pay attention and, we'll just see how it all works out.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds great.
Any cars on any track, and we'll be looking forward to that. Kenny, thanks so much for calling in and having a little fun with us tonight.
Absolutely. Okay, gang. Everybody stay safe, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thanks, Kenny.
Awesome. What a great guy. Hanging out with us and everything, having some fun. I have moved our video over. Let's see. I think I'll just go back to that one. Sorry, folks who are listening in. Just trying to make sure.
A little bit of dead space here just for a second.
Make sure all that's all good. Well, Sherwin.
We got to change the date and the number.
Oh, yeah. I missed it on that one. I switched it back. We're good. Well, Sherwin, bit of a whirlwind there with Kenny. Let's do this. Well, again, I haven't brought up the thing. Here it is. Oh, nope, that's it, muted. Let's try it for real. Y'all, this is a real-ish show.
And why shouldn't it be? I mean, we've been sitting at the house all this time.
Right. Just doing nothing.
It's
dude.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Groundhog Day. I wake up every morning. I do the same thing. I hear the song on the radio.
I put your little hand in mine.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's really cool that just to hear, something I watched one of Kenny's videos recently, I say recently, earlier today, and he said something poignant that everybody has the same situation right now. And this is one of the first times possibly in human history when this has happened that it don't matter if you're a multi-billionaire or, I mean, it kind of matters a little bit, I guess, but but whoever you are, you're hunkered down and you're doing your thing till this thing blows over or whenever this thing's done. And just, hoping that you're not getting caught up in the middle of it. But, yeah, very, very interesting. So pretty cool for him to say yes to us and say, yeah, I'll come on and hang out with y'all for a little bit.
Absolutely. And he gave us about 33% more time than he said he originally was able to commit.
That's right.
We can always get the guys talking. That's the good thing.
Well, Sherwin, I'd already played the tone for the Tear It Down, the iRacing Pro Invitational, Virtual Texas, and the first thing we got to do is play the what is it? The highest prestige in PETM honor. Here it is for you, buddy. Oh yeah, you might not have been able to hear it, but it was there.
Fart horn.
Timmy Hill took it and took the checkered and won that race. You called it. Well done. Jeff Gluck was pretty upset that you took his pick, so you took it right out from under him. Love it. I'll tell you what, man. Another exciting race. Like at the end, coming down to it, you didn't know what was going to happen, and I thought it was pretty fun. How about you?
Well, I mean, I think, and I started another response with well. I'll have to figure that out. But I think, a lot of people were all super excited about the fact that Timmy Hill got in behind Byron and kind of moved him up a little bit. And it's like, what did you expect him to do? Like what, it was obviously hard to pass. You certainly couldn't do it on a straightaway.
Yeah.
So you had to do it entering a corner. So like, what would you have done different if that was your position? And I asked that of any person who listens and watches racing, or anybody who actually races cars. How would you have done it? Would you have done it any differently? Byron said he was pissed for like a couple of hours, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, it's racing. It's everybody wants to win, but and Timmy Hill was obviously faster. So what are you going to do?"
Yeah. Yeah, and look at us sitting here talking about racing in a time when we probably couldn't have, and the drama and everything else going on. I want to talk about kind of the logistics part of it here for a minute. 1.339 million viewers, 400,000 more viewers this week than last week. Fox is now about to show World of Outlaws and late models on FS1 doing this. I'm not saying that, and I've always said I like the idea of the iRacing thing, and I think there's something to it, but never could have imagined that Fox will be or FS1 showing dirt racing on iRacing sometime. That's I think it's really cool. It satiates the the need that I have to go watch some racing.
It certainly does for me. This has been a very welcome, though I'm sure I was overly reluctant to dip my toe in this water, but the fact that we do get a race of some kind, of some nature, and the ability to interact with NASCAR people in the process while these races are going on, coupled with they look so realistic, as long as they're not wrecking, it looks extremely realistic.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I really don't care. I'll be honest with you. It was a little frustrating at Homestead how often they wrecked, but boy, did they clean that up at Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what the hell happened on lap 8 or 12 or whatever that was, where 987 cars wrecked, and they're like, "We're staying green." And I'm sure that was a TV thing, but whatever, it still worked out.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. I do get a kick out of when they do wreck, because they've got like the aerodynamics physics down and stuff, but they just don't have wrecking physics at all, because, it's so random in the real world. And so when they wreck, it looks so funny that I laugh every time. I don't know about you.
I giggle because that is the thing that takes it back to me saying video game versus reality.
Yep.
But it doesn't bother me. Like I don't have this overwhelming feeling of this is bullshit. Like I just don't have that. I'm like, this is still fun though. It's still fun what we're doing.
Right. No, Go ahead. Oh yeah, I was just going to say I agree, and I think it's because I get caught up in the realism of it for so long. 8-10 laps, people are passing, people are making moves and stuff, and then all of a sudden, some guy is pirouetting in a manner that would probably tear a car apart just from centrifugal force with how fast he's spinning, and I have to bust out laughing, thinking, okay, like you said, kind of brings it back to reality and whatnot. But it's kind of a funny side note. So they upgraded a little bit this week. Troy Aikman with the command. How cool was that?
I thought it was great. Troy used to be involved in NASCAR, and he obviously stated that, on his call-in video or Skype or whatever he's using to do that. He used to be a team owner, him and Roger Staubach, and they had a third partner with the DLP number 96. I thought it was great. Like, why not? Troy played in Dallas for years, won 3 Super Bowls, excuse me. And like, why not have a guy like that? You obviously know he already loves the sport, and he's a Dallas guy, and the race is taking place in Dallas, albeit virtual, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. I thought that was a really good, whoever made that decision to call him and say, hey, Can we get you to do this? Obviously, he is a Fox asset, so that made it probably a little bit easier to accomplish because, producers know people and they can call Troy and say, we'd like you to do this. Would you like to do that? And he's like, hell yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
And then to put a cherry on top of that, the anthem from Bob Weir, the Grateful Dead co-founder. So not just some dude in his garage, but this time, I say dude in his garage. That dude last week was...
he was out in the backyard, but that's fine.
Yeah, he was
good.
He's a band member, well-known. I can't remember who, but I know who Bob Weir, Grateful Dead co-founder
Grateful
is.
Dead.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that was really
Deadhead.
neat. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said Deadhead.
Deadhead, yeah. Yeah, I thought it was really neat that, reaching out. And who knows? I mean, Bristol, you got to be thinking, if you're Fox, if you're Bristol, if you're everything else, you got to blow it out for Bristol. I really think that first week they were able to put on a production in very little time, to get it to air and all that. This time it felt like it was pretty well polished in terms of the views that you got and all the different, they're getting used to calling the race and everything. They're going to have their hands full next week. What do you think?
Absolutely, they are. Bristol's going to be. I don't know that it's going to be a mess. I'm not going to go out there and say it's going to be a mess. The one thing they can't do with the iRacing right now is they can't simulate putting down the grip boogers.
Yeah.
So I believe it's going to be a highline kind of race, like it was. 2007 to 2014, that era of transition from the Gen 5 to the Gen 6 before they realized they could consult, the drag racing folks over at NHRA and be like, all right, y'all got any goo we can make this thing different with? And like, hell yeah, we got buckets of this shit.
We talked about drama earlier. How about Suarez trying to crash Ty Dillon and then he's parked? I don't know. Like,
that is the biggest fail I have seen since Ruderman actually did dump Kyle Busch at Chicagoland, but he destroyed his own car in the process.
Right.
And I was like, well, I guess it's good that you cleaned both of y'all out, but, Suarez definitely takes a trophy now for one of the dumbest things I've seen in racing. Like, he wasn't even close.
Yeah, yeah. Now, was he mad or was he just trying to have some fun? I can't tell. Like,
I think he was pissed.
That's funny.
There was like some Spanish that the Door Bumper Clear folks read on their show this week, and I don't know what it meant. It was something about crashing somebody, basically. But yeah, Suarez made himself look really stupid right there.
Yeah, and then he blamed his dog, which I thought was actually
that's how you try
funny
to recover from it, with a little bit of humor.
Right. Right. Is this the first time in NASCAR history that someone has blamed their dog on a wreck?
I would bet that 100% at the pay window.
Yeah. Oh man. And we talked with Kenny about DiBurrito and his undies. I'm wondering, like, if I'll go viral if I wear like a DiBurrito hat and watch the next one in my undies and take a picture.
I dare you to. How about that?
Well, I think the problem is I need to get a DiBurrito hat. But if I do, I think that'd be fun to do. Bunch of people posting on the internet with themselves in their undies, just watching. So having a little fun there, but serious talk here, Sherwin. They're talking for reals about double headers. Did you see this?
Yes, I did.
NASCAR
Dover
IndyCar.
being at the peak of the mountain.
Richmond, Iowa, Road America, Texas, Mid-Ohio, and Gateway are all places that both series go to, and both series need to do something about, rescheduling and figuring out when they're doing it. Could this be, the thing that we've been asking for so long? If they can pull something like this off, and we are, in a place where we could race in the next few months, this could be the best racing season we've ever had.
Well, Ohio and Gateway would have to be Xfinity and trucks, not Cup.
Yeah, yeah.
Because Cup doesn't go there. But, yeah, I think Dover
Road
really
America.
sticks out because neither one of those races are playoff races. So they would fall into that category where Pocono lives. And ironically, Pocono and Dover used to be owned by the same company. I don't know if they still are, if there's an affiliation at all or not. But, yeah, maybe you run a 400 miler on Sunday and a 300 miler on Saturday at Dover. You'd have to do it during the middle of the day because they don't have lights. So that's the thing. And then you talk about a lot of weekday races. You got to have lights. So that means places like Martinsville, Bristol, Atlanta, obviously. Well, Atlanta doesn't have two, so that wouldn't be a doubleheader. But you could do a weekday race there because they have lights. So there's a lot of combinations being thrown out there.
So I was specifically referring to IndyCar and NASCAR.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. I did not listen to everything that you said.
Oh, it's all good. So think about that again. Richmond, Iowa, Road America, Texas, Mid-Ohio, and Gateway are all overlapping tracks for NASCAR and Indy. And so it is very possible that we get one or more. That's why I was thinking this could be the greatest racing season that we've ever had.
Well, we already have one, right? We have Xfinity and Indy running the road course at Indy.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the Cup boys are supposed to run the rectangle. And the big talk now is, can we figure out how to get Tony Stewart in all three of these races? Would he be willing to do it? Would somebody support him? Would NASCAR sort of waive that whole, whatever the fifth R&D car rule is? I think you can run 5 or 6 with a fifth car. You just can't run one full time. I would settle for him running the Xfinity car and running an Indy car. But I sure hope Larson is considering running Indy. And I know Jimmy Johnson is considering running that Indy race.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he's working towards. He wants to run that Indy road course race. Like, that's in his mind. That's what he's programmed in. Like, I want to run that race.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, his sim rig is shaped way more like an Indy car. He's got an IndyCar wheel.
Yep, I've seen the wheel.
Which
yep.
means they do all the push button shifting and fuel management and brake management. It's all electronic and it's on the wheel, which might be why he had such a hard time running at Homestead, because he was using an IndyCar wheel and not a NASCAR wheel. But he's trying. Like, he wants to do that. We know we're going to see Jimmy Johnson in an Indy car. And it's most likely either going to be a street course or a road course. Why not at Indy? Why not build that thing up as big as it could possibly get, especially considering today's conditions with what we've got with the quarantine?
Exactly. And then run some more doubles. And, like I said, it could be some of the best racing season that we've ever had. And I think we've got an opportunity to open up a lot of eyeballs. I mean, there could be 500,000 people at Texas, or 300,000 people at Richmond or something. If you're saying I'm going to run Indy and NASCAR in the same weekend, it could be nutso, and me and you might need to be part of something there.
Well, and they could also do it at Iowa.
Yep.
With the Xfinity cars and maybe the trucks and Indy. Run the trucks on Friday night, run Xfinity on Saturday afternoon or even Saturday night, and then whatever you want to do with Indy on Sunday, do that.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest opportunity that we all have as race fans is if you put all these guys in the same place, how much opportunity do we have a crossover? Like, can we get some of these Indy guys to get in a stock car? Can we get some of these stock car guys to get in an Indy car? Like, how can we create some cross-pollination?
So Roger just said on the YouTube chat wall that Gronk and Mojo Rawley from WWE, sorry guys, I don't know WWE all that well, but I very much respect that the folks who do like it, are going to be grand marshals for Bristol. So
Sweet.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Definitely. I shouldn't say exploiting, but taking advantage of the crossover that we have in the two arenas. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. WrestleMania is going to operate out of that Tampa training facility that they have for WWE, and they're basically going to film each match separately and then part and parcel the footage for the pay-per-view event, which I don't know how that's going to work. I don't want to know. I'm glad I'm not in charge of those logistics. Obviously, WrestleMania is kind of a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a really big deal for that community of sports entertainment. But, I like having those guys over. I mean, just like I like Roman Reigns saying, look, I can't go. I've survived cancer twice. I can't expose myself to this stuff and risk myself or my family, so I'm not going to go. And he was supposed to win the main event.
Wow.
He was supposed to wrestle Goldberg and get put over and be the universal WWE champion. But he's like, I can't go. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
It's not responsible.
I'm tempted to watch now because it sounds for the first time for me, it sounds really fun. Like, getting to see some sort of competition right now while we're in the midst of all this. So I would look forward to it. Maybe I'll tune in.
I've been paying a little bit more attention to it, to be honest with you. I mean, it's still kind of one of those things where I'm like, I'm not sure about.
Mm-hmm.
But I listen to Stone Cold's podcast almost every week, and I enjoy hearing him talk about it and all the processes that led him from somewhere in deep South Texas to ending up being, one of the biggest stars in the sport. And he's actually a really smart guy. I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't give him credit for that, but he really is. And I've enjoyed it, and it's caused me to pay a little bit more attention to what's going on with the WWE.
Yeah. So we got a question from Perfect Face for Radio at perfface4 Radio, and he says, "So with the end of times upon us, are y'all ready to repent and admit that a hot dog is indeed a sandwich?"
No chance in hell. I will fight you till you die.
I think I'm gonna.
There is no sandwich at all in the equation of a hot dog. A hot dog is a hot dog. A taco is not a sandwich. There's bread and meat and lettuce in it.
Yeah, I'm curious. It would be funny. If all the plagues came upon us and all we had to do was admit that a hot dog was a sandwich, there would be frogs bouncing off of Sherwin's head, going, "I ain't doing it. It ain't right. Hot dog ain't no sandwich."
No, but potato chips on a sandwich are delicious.
Yeah. Well, dude, we talked about it. Virtual Bristol coming up. What are the drivers saying? What are people saying? I know you've been paying attention to it. What are people thinking about what iRacing at Bristol is going to be like?
The biggest thing I heard so far this week, and we're only on Tuesday, but is that breaking points and lifting points are going to be a big challenge for anybody who hasn't really spent a lot of time running Bristol laps.
Mm-hmm.
One of the coolest things that Junior has talked about over the past 3, 4, 5 years, the advice he got from his dad about running Bristol, he said, you got to lift at the flag stand.
Yeah.
So if you don't lift at the flag stand, then you have to brake. He said, you don't want to have to brake.
Mm-hmm.
You want to coast the middle. You want to roll the center, as they call it. When a driver says on the radio, when you're listening to somebody's audio and they say, I can't roll the center, what they're saying is, I have to hit the brake to turn, which means they've dialed rear end brake bias, and they're hitting the brake to make the right rears grab and turn the car. Like they're deliberately making it loose so it will turn.
Mm-hmm.
But Dale told Dale Jr. that if you lift at the flag stand, you can roll the center without even touching the brakes. and Dale has won at Bristol. Dale Jr., that is. Obviously, Dale Sr. won there, I think, 6 or 8 times. He won there a lot.
Were we at one of the races where Junior won? Or was that earlier?
No, it was before we really started going to races. I think he won at Bristol in 2003. We were not able to be there when Casey won because that was a spring race. He was already with Hendrick when he won his one Bristol race. We saw a whole lot of Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards and a bunch of people. I'm not sure we cared too much about winning those races. But,
oh man!
I mean, it is what it is.
Well, there was the Tony helmet throw that they now have in 300-foot banner of.
Oh yeah, I mean we were right there. Like we were. I don't know how far we were away, but that exit of that part of pit road was directly in front of us when he hit Kens's car with his helmet. Two-handed fastball.
You saw it coming from a mile away too. He's got it over his head, just walking at this dum da dum da dum da dum pace, and you're like, that helmet's fixing to go through somebody's windshield.
Well, and you know what? You can't fault him for being all that pissed off because that was like lap 300 of 500.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a restart, and they both end up, kind of pinned in the wall, and I think Tony probably got the worst end of that deal. And it might even ended his day, actually. Well, he was out of the car throwing his helmet, so I'm pretty sure it ended his day. I think it got the radiator when he came down on the inside and hit the wall. But, yeah, that crowd, when he did that whole, loop with the finger.
Yeah.
The crowd went bananas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, so we talked with Kenny about cooking and listen to what he's got going on, which it sounds like he's on the classic racer diet. He's kind of like, food? I'm a racer. I don't eat food. I guess I scrounge together a sandwich with some mustard every once in a while. But how about you? Have you been doing anything new and crazy recently?
No, I made some meatballs yesterday. That was fun. I enjoyed doing that. I had a pound of ground beef, and I was like, what am I going to do with this? And I'm like, I really like meatballs. Had a big old jar of marinara sauce. I've got green pepper and onion and mushrooms. I'm like, I'm making me up a little sauce.
There you go.
And so I made some meatballs, fried them up in the pan, and then put them in the sauce and warmed them on up, put them over pasta. It was really good.
With all this extra time on our hands, spaghetti is something that I made last week. But I was like, I'm gonna make everything from scratch, see what happens. So I've got tomatoes, I've got garlic and pepper and onion and all that stuff. So it's really, I think it's brought out the culinary side of everybody for quite a while. I did get my company's giving everybody a $20 Grubhub credit one time a week. So. And I can only use it during this one period of time. And I was trying to think of the best way to do it because I could use it to get a steak from the nice steakhouse down the road, and then pay for the rest of it myself. And so that steak probably runs like $35. It'll probably be crappy by the time it gets to you and all that. But I thought it'd be hilarious to eat a steak. Or on the flip side, I can get 12 crystals, 2 large fries, and a half gallon of drink. For $16.99. So
by God.
Yeah, right? So I'm trying to think. Quality over quantity. I'm not sure which one I'll go with, but maybe we'll give the update next week or let the PTM posse vote on what that might be. Sherwin, I think it's time for us to make a couple picks coming up for Virtual Bristol.
Virtual Bristol.
That's right. So you had Timmy Hill last week first. By the way, let's give ourselves a virtual pat on the back for our performance. You picked Timmy Hill, first place. We've played the Foghorn. Jeff Gluck picked Garrett Smithley, finished third. And I picked Dale Jr., finished sixth. So hell of a run by all us.
Yeah, if we were playing fantasy, we would have kicked everybody's butt.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So for Bristol, this is the game changes with Bristol. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well now this is it's a different kind of track. It's a different deal. Now
we almost should add a second pick after we pick a driver of like over under on how many cautions.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good to me. So I'll pick first here, and somebody who's had some good success in the iRacing couple races that we've had, and knows his way around Bristol. I'm going with Alex Bowman.
That's a good pick. That's a really good pick.
And you're up. I gave you the opportunity to double down.
I know. I hate you, but that's a really good pick. What would it not be appropriate for me to double down in this sense?
In this time and place, you get to do whatever you want.
Yeah, I think I'm going to double down on Timmy Hill.
Timmy Hill ×2. I was reading the odds because obviously everybody's bored and everybody wants to bet on something. And let me bring it up right now for the double. There we go. Let's see. There was betting favorite. So I don't know where you can bet on this stuff. Did DraftKings pick it up and whatnot? BetOnline.ag.
Yes. No, hell yes, they have.
Have they?
DraftKings picked it up.
That's awesome.
They're all over it everywhere. Even 680 The Fan here in Atlanta talked about how you could bet on virtual NASCAR.
That's awesome. Timmy Hill, a 4-1 favorite to win again at Bristol, followed by William.
That's actually really good for a NASCAR race.
You can't get 4-1 nowhere. That's amazing. Then there's 5-1 William Byron, Garrett Smithley is 6-1, and Dale Jr. and Ryan Preece have 8-1 odds. And then Alex Bowman
sneaking on in there.
Alex Bowman at 9-1. So I went with the 9-1 there, but yeah, that's Ryan Preece, Denny Hamlin 12-1 odds. That's I think that rounds out the main ones that have good odds, if you will. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm wondering, where can I DraftKings.com? Now I'm just going to start looking at.
Oh yeah, I mean you go lay a 10 on one of those guys that are in the top 5, and then you go lay a 20 on somebody that's like 25-1.
Yeah. Let's see.
And
I gotta
basically you cover your bet if you win.
I gotta sign up to play. Or to even look. So, wait. Sports, fantasy, NASCAR. I want to see if they have anything. No, they don't have anything on there. They just try to get you to sign up. Dadgummit, I was just going to look on there. Maybe we should start putting $5 bets on some. I know our friends over at MOATF did that for a little while. But yeah, so let's see here. I think I've reached.
They were on Brandon's show tonight, by the way.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good. I hope they're doing all right.
Y'all go listen to Lap Traffic. It's good stuff.
Absolutely. So, last thing, I didn't mention this yet, but how about NASCAR R&D? They got in like a couple of 3D printers that they were going to use for other stuff, and they started making face shields for hospitals. So that's pretty cool.
It is really cool. I'm surprised they can print something that's clear. That blew my mind when I read it.
That's a good point.
I'm like, that's tough.
I wonder if they're printing that part, or if that part goes into what they print, and they just get that part elsewhere.
Maybe it's
I don't know.
The thing that, like the helmet collar or the head collar that holds it.
Yeah,
maybe
that is,
because I would have thought you would have. There was no way you could print something clear with one of those machines, but who knows?
Yeah, probably not. But I thought that was a creative use, because I was wondering. You know, you hear about the Ford and GM manufacturing plants are like, oh yeah, we're going to start putting out ventilators, and I'm like, how? We might have talked about that last week, but it's like, wow, okay. I didn't know you could. You know more about like industry equipment and stuff than I do, or industrial equipment, and you know how you might be able to shape or change something. I don't know how that works.
I don't either. One of the biggest things that is important with that kind of equipment is you have to use a type of plastic or any other kind of substance that doesn't trap bacteria or viruses. So if ventilator goes all the way down in your lungs, so you have to be really careful that you don't create an environment that fosters things that you don't want to be in the lungs of your patient. So that's tough. I mean, it's a lot of Teflon involved there, which is a very expensive polymer.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in all this, and we'll talk again next week, but I think it's amazing what people are being able to do in a 2-week time frame. Every university in the U.S. pretty much has gone to online classes in a matter of 2 weeks. These plants that are outputting some of this stuff, I think it's just incredible what we actually can do when we have to do it. And so that's neat to me.
Well, necessity is the mother of invention.
There you go. And we need right now, as it turns out. Well, with that, y'all, I think we're going to shut it down for the night. We want to thank Kenny Wallace for saying yes. We say it all the time. When folks call it, or when we ask folks and they say yes, it's amazing to us that so many people do that and are willing to talk. And, NASCAR and the sport is just incredible to have everybody like this. Shorten, why don't you tell the folks where they can find you? And then I'm going to do our outro because I did not talk about our sponsors yet, but let's do that and then we'll close it down.
Yeah, well, you can find me personally over at Andrew L. Sherwin on the Instagram and Pregame Engineer on the Twitter. And next week we got CJ Walliver from NASCAR on Fox, their social media director. Should be a good time. Rusty?
Sir, I think he might be, we always call him the busiest guy in NASCAR. He might be even busier right now with everything going on. I can't wait to talk to him. Looking forward to it. Let's start shutting this thing down. I'm going to start with our sponsors. And as you know, this podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. You go to patreon.com/PTM. Join the Watch Drink Club for as little as $1 a month. Get that free koozie. Best part is every cent in 2020. What year are we in? We're donating to sponsoring drivers. Join the PTM Posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. This week's show was brought to you by our official sponsors at that $5 and up per month level. Those are Aaron Bearden, Robert Kepler, Coleman McClam, Eric Kettner, Ryan Kiefer, Patrick Cleary, Jeff Brown, Brandon Carl, Kathleen McDonald, Stacy Wright, Brandon Carl, Rika Porter, John Bud, Les Miller, Julie Bosses, John Pearson, Eddie Greer III, Younker Motorsports, David Mose, Patrick Johnson, Brett Morris, Crystal Smoke, Fred Rosado, Chad Knapp, Stacy Coleman, Lisa Chinana, Rick Houston, Sarah Ambari, Evan Roller, and Brad Harrison. Thank you all. You know where to find us. PTMpodcast.com. At PTM Podcast on the Twitter handle. As always, I am Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace at Tailgate Mayor, and we will talk to y'all next week. Thanks for hanging out. And that's a wrap. Good sir. And good people on the YouTube. Yep. So I'm just going to do some IT stuff here. Get all this stuff exported and saved and blah, blah, blah.
What's up, y'all? Thank you very much for joining us tonight. That was fun. We didn't get a whole lot of Kenny's time, but he gave us more than he said he could, which is always good.
Yeah. Yeah, I skipped doing the pretty much all the intro stuff, and I was like, all right, let's get straight into this. I don't want to take up 3 minutes of Kenny's time for for us reading all that and get the most we can out of him. That was awesome for him to call in, hang out. When we called him, y'all, because we didn't put it on the main one there when we initially called him, but it rang, and then he goes, "This is Kenny Wallace, and I'm ready to roll." We're like, all right, my man, let's do it.
Yeah. He's a ball of energy, that man.
Yeah, he is. Yep. Let's see here. And
I knew that would be fun. Even if, I was hoping for 30, but 15 that turned into 20 was enough.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he did awesome.
It was still great.
Yeah.
I think people are going to like it.
Oh, yeah, and Roger just said CJ in his new house. I saw that picture on Twitter. CJ just moving into his new place.
Yeah, that's why we couldn't have him tonight. I mean, that's what led to us getting Kenny. So anybody that's still paying attention, that's the reason why we were able to get Kenny, is because CJ said, I can't do it this week because we're moving.
Right.
And I'm like, all right. Well, how about the 7th? He goes, 7th works. All right.
Man.
Now I got to go to work.
Yeah, boy.
And get somebody. And I got somebody, as it turns out.
Oh, man. I can't wait to talk to him. He's talk about another ball of energy. He's just going to be – he'll have a lot to talk about.
Oh, for sure.
And doing all that from the comfort or discomfort of his, moving studio, I guess, at this point, moving to a different house and everything, and trying to get that done. Incredible.
Yeah, with all this stuff going on, I can't imagine he's actually going into the studio, but Fox is still doing all kinds of cool stuff. He's probably going to have some insight on how they approach this whole, let's broadcast the iRacing stuff and figure out if that could actually be a viable, outlet for us. And it turns out, yes, is the answer to that question with what, 3.2 or 2.2 million viewers in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad.
No,
somebody's got to be looking at that going, damn, well, NBA ain't doing nothing. NFL ain't doing nothing. NHL ain't doing nothing.
Baseball.
NASCAR doing stuff.
I read a funny tweet. This was a few weeks ago when all the sports were shutting down. And it said, all the major sports and hockey have shut down. And I laughed my butt off. All the major sports and hockey.
Well, so it's funny you say it that way. I think that is hilarious because for a lot of reasons. Certainly no belittlement to anybody that's a hockey fan, because
I'm a hockey fan.
You and I both think hockey is a very fun sport. It's hard to get involved when you don't have a hometown team.
Right.
But NASCAR draws more fans than hockey.
Is that true?
On a
weekly
on
basis?
a television audience perspective.
Huh.
Not in person, because they have 30 arenas.
Yeah.
That maybe have somewhere between 8,000 and 20,000 people show up.
Yeah.
There's 18 games a day, or what? Not 18, that's too many, but 12 games a day.
Your camera moved, by the way. It's pointing now like into your dining room.
Oh yeah, I set the laptop over on the desk.
Just double checking.
I just realized I needed to get up and pee, but I'm tethered to the laptop.
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't have to go. It was just something that crossed my mind.
No,
so
it's
I'm
all
back
good.
now.
Well, we can shut down the live stream and let you go do some live streaming. Ha ha ha. So, yeah, good times, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. I hope y'all enjoyed it. We've had a blast. Oh, and
hey,
David,
look
the
at
producer,
that! Dave, the producer,
just showed up. As we're about to shut her down, but David, be sure to scroll back through there. We had Kenny Wallace on, really cool, talking with him and having fun. So we'll catch y'all next week. Thanks for hanging. See ya.
catch you on the flip.